Buckle up, everyone. You are strapped in and ready for the Insurance Hour with me, your host, Karl Susman, informing, educating, and entertaining one policy at a time. This is Insurance Hour. Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here today, where we talk about all things insurance, your favorite topic and mine. Phone lines are open. Give us a call at 559-656-0317. You can call or text that number, or send your questions in to questions@insurancehour.com. Or if you like, just go to the website, insurancehour.com/ask. Go ahead, put your question there, and we will do our best to get back to you with an answer as soon as we can. While we are waiting for calls to come in, I'm going to go ahead and jump in with some emails, questions that you have all sent over. So I have not reviewed these in advance, so this is going to be information that I get right off the cuff, right out of the old noggin. So we'll do the best I can for you. Let's jump right in. First email says, here we go. Owning a small grocery store has been a dream come true, but navigating insurance is hard. I've heard about business interruption insurance, but don't fully understand what it means. If an unexpected event forces us to close temporarily, would this insurance help us lost income or ongoing expenses? We're trying to be as protected as we can. Okay, this is a great question. So, first of all, grocery store is a tough business these days, especially if you're an independent. And it sounds like you're an independent grocery store. So congratulations on being able to pull that off in these days, because it is not easy. So as far as business interruption insurance, there's a few things I want you to be aware of. First of all, in order for business interruption insurance to kick in, actually for it to be something that can trigger coverage, before we even talk about what it is, understand that this is a coverage that kicks in after a covered peril is in place. So, for example, if there's a fire and because of the fire you're no longer able to operate the grocery store and you have a loss of income, then you would be able to trigger coverage under this particular type of coverage, obviously depending on your specific policy, but that's what it's generally designed for. But you can't file a claim on lost income or lost business expense just because maybe business is down, right? We saw a lot of this during the pandemic, where people were saying people can't come into my store because they're not allowed to go out. Business is down. Therefore, they wanted to file a claim. And that was troublesome because, again, with most insurance policies in general, there has to be a qualifying event, something that actually triggers the coverage before you are able to put that claim in and expect to get some type of coverage for it. I'm saying coverage too many times, but you understand what I'm saying. The idea is that you need to have something happen that's covered in the policy, and then you can go about all the different lines that are within the policy and see what you can get coverage in force for. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's jump on to the next question. I own a bar. It's exciting, but I'm concerned, I bet. With so many patrons, I'm worried about potential injuries or on-site fights that could lead to damage to my bar or other people. What kind of insurance should I have to protect my business? Okay, bars are very niche when it comes to insurance policies, meaning you don't want to just jump online and Google insurance agent, grab whoever you talk to, and then say, okay, write me insurance for my bar. It's very specific. So you want to look around and find someone that has expertise in this area, that has written insurance on bars before, because there are different tiers of coverage that you want to have. You want your bare bones liability coverage, right? That's your slip and fall, things like that. You also need something called liquor liability. Now, liquor liability is specific to businesses or individuals that are actually providing alcohol to others. As you can imagine, somebody comes in the bar, they drink, they go out, they have an accident, then the first person and company and organization that usually gets dragged into that will be the establishment that served them. You have the questions like, well, did you serve them beyond what was reasonable? Did you see they were intoxicated and keep serving them? There are all sorts of things that come into play. And you don't want to have to deal with that on your own. You want to be sure that you have an insurance policy that will be there to be able to provide you with protection for that. So what I want you to do is be sure that you have general liability insurance at a bare bones and liquor liability. Also, there are specific endorsements for bars that you would also want to look into. Again, I'm not an expert specifically in that type of insurance, so I don't want to go into the minutia, but I want you to understand that there is coverage you can get to protect you for bodily injury, for people that get hurt, for damage to your business, and for the liquor specifically. Since, again, it's a bar, it's important that you have that coverage. Keep in mind also that a lot of policies will ask specifically what percentage of the business's income is generated from from alcohol sales. And depending on what that percentage is, that will affect the type of policy that you might be looking at. Now, for a bar, you might say, well, all of it. But yeah, really? I mean, you might sell pretzels, you might sell some snacks. It might be 95% alcohol, 5% other. But be aware that when you're applying for coverage for these things, they are going to ask you and try and get an idea of what percentage of the business's sales actually comes from alcoholic sales. So keep that in mind, and good luck. Next email we have, let's see, this is from Angela. She says, my family owns an Italian restaurant, and while we don't have problems, we do have one customer claiming food poisoning. Is there insurance that covers legal fees and damages for someone that says they got sick on our food? Okay, this is a good question. First of all, I love Italian food. Love Italian. Does anybody not like Italian food now that I'm thinking about it? I don't think so. I think there is something in Italian food that everybody likes. There's got to be some dish that everyone's going to like. But to answer your question, yes, restaurants do have liability insurance. They are going to have a particular type of coverage in place as well for people that are bringing bodily injury claims against them. Food poisoning is considered a bodily injury, so that would be something that would potentially be triggered under that line of coverage. Now, understand, and this is an interesting one, you know this better than I do, someone that eats dinner, walks out, and then says, oh, I don't feel well. Typically, if they have food poisoning, it's not from the food they just ate. Again, not an expert in this, but my understanding is that it takes a little bit of time for the food you eat to actually become a problem. Aside from if you eat foreign objects, things like that, obviously you don't have to, your body will reject that fairly quickly. But in general, if someone is claiming that they got sick, sometimes you'll see someone in a restaurant that's eating and say, oh, this is giving me a stomachache. Yeah, it's not from the food. Most of the time, the food hasn't even made its way into your system yet. It's still either in your throat. It could be just barely getting into your stomach. Your stomach might just barely be going into, you're starting to do the digestion. So be aware of that. But yes, it is something that you can get coverage for. And actually, I would love to talk to somebody. If anyone out there is a physician and specializes in this type of thing, I'd love to know, how long does it actually take from the time I eat something to when it's even possible that my body could be getting sick from it? I'd love to know from an expert. If you know, give us a call or shoot us an email. Speaking of which, let's take our first quick break, and we will be right back. This is Insurance Hour with me, your host, Karl Susman. 60 seconds, that's all it will be. We'll be right back with your questions. Let's talk about earthquakes for a minute. Look, we know we live in earthquake country here in California. Powerful, devastating earthquakes have happened here before, and science says that they will happen again. They can't tell us exactly when. They can just tell us that it is going to happen. Count on it. Prepare for it. Did you know that earthquakes are not covered by your homeowner's insurance policy? You need a separate policy to give you the peace of mind that you will be able to recover without getting financially wiped out the next time we get hit with a big one. There is a great company here in California that will provide you with earthquake coverage you need at a price you can afford. That company is GeoVera. I have a policy through GeoVera. I really like how easy it is to choose from all of their great coverage options, backed by the financial strength that lets me know that they will be here for me when I need them the most. Go to getquake.com/insurance hour to learn more. That's getquake.com/insurance hour. Make sure you're ready for the day when the ground shakes again. Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We are talking about all things insurance, and our phone lines are open, 559-656-0317. Again, give us a call at 559-656-0317. You can call or text that number, or feel free to shoot us an email with any insurance-related question you'd love us to describe and discuss to questions@insurancehour.com. If you want to share with the community, go ahead, visit insurancehour.com/ask, and we will be happy to talk about your posted question there. Before I go on, I want to thank our sponsor, GeoVera Insurance Company. They are sponsoring our show this month, and I want to thank them for their sponsorship. I personally have had my earthquake insurance with GeoVera for much longer than they were a sponsor, probably decades. I've had my coverage with them. I live in California. We have earthquakes. I need earthquake insurance. It's pretty simple. And you can imagine I can purchase my earthquake insurance pretty much wherever I want. And all of the insurance carriers would prefer I purchase it from them so I can say, hey, I have my insurance with this company. You should too. As it turns out, I do have my insurance with GeoVera, and I think you should check them out as well to get a quote. Just go to insurancehour.com. You'll see a link for GeoVera. Click on that. Go and get your quote. Takes you maybe 5-10 seconds, and you'll be able to find out exactly what the prices and options are for your exact house in your exact location. Once again, GeoVera, thank you for your sponsorship. All right, we are going to jump back into your questions. These are questions that you have all emailed in to questions@insurancehour.com. And let's get to the next one, which is from Tim. Tim says, I'm just leasing a small office space for my graphic design startup. Do I need special insurance for that? It's just me, no employees. I'm curious if my equipment is covered, case of damage, or I need another policy. Okay. All right, Timothy, well, congratulations on starting a new business. That's always fun and scary. And the answer is yes. There's several types of insurance you would probably want to be looking at. First, you're going to be leasing space, and my guess is that the landlord is going to require you have some type of insurance. So that's usually general liability insurance. So you can go ahead and obtain basic general liability insurance for your small office, and there are many companies that offer small policies like that. You might find it on what's called a BOP form, Business Owner's Policy Form. It's very basic. Now, specific to your business type as a graphic design person, you need to get professional liability insurance for that. It's a different type of liability insurance. Let's just pretend for sake of discussion, you design something. It's a graphic of an apple with a little bit of a bite out of it. And some other company might come along and say, we think that looks an awful lot like our logo. And they decide to sue you for copyright infringement. So you would want to be sure that you have insurance to provide you coverage for things like that. So keep in mind, in the event that you're going to be doing work for the public, which hopefully you're doing as a small business, you want to have not only general liability insurance, but you do want to get professional liability insurance that is specifically designed for your type of business. As you can imagine, your exposure is going to be different than it would be for, let's say, a physician's office, or for an optometrist, or for a lawyer, or for a CPA. So as a graphic designer, you want to be sure you're getting insurance that's going to cover you in that particular type of business. You with me? Sounds good. All right, let's get to our next question. This is from Leo. Hey, Leo. He says, look at this. Being an insurance agent who mainly handles auto policies, I'm expanding into new areas and heard about errors and omission insurance. Can you explain what E&O insurance covers? Wow. Leo, I'm scared for you. If you're an auto insurance agent and you don't know what E&O is, then I'm shocked. E&O is errors and omission. That's going to cover you for mistakes that you may make, or at least allegedly make. And you need to have that coverage in place right now. You should have had it all this time, because that's going to protect you. Most insurance companies will not work with an insurance agent or broker unless they can provide proof that they actually have errors and omission coverage. So not sure how you've been wiggling around without E&O coverage. Even more surprised you don't know what it is. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I appreciate the question. You need E&O coverage. And there are lots of insurance companies that are out there that will offer coverage for you that will give you protection for being an insurance agent. They will ask what percent of your business is auto, home, health, life, disability, things like that. They'll ask for the type of license that you have. Is it property and casualty? Is it life and health? Is it specialty? Depending on your state and specifics. But you definitely want to get out there, stop, do nothing else until you get this done. There are companies that you can buy from online instantly, and you can also purchase coverage from an agent. I think you probably would do well to speak with another insurance agent that writes E&O coverage that can try and help give you, an idea of what it is that you need to have, what the limits are. Because again, for E&O, for errors and omission coverage for insurance agents and brokers, it comes in different types, different amounts. So you might get $1 million policy, a $2 million policy. Also, there are different types of policies. One, that $1 million might include the fees to defend you, whereas another policy might have defense fees outside of the limit of liability. You can imagine that could really add up. If you have a large enough case, it could cost $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 just in litigation before there's actually a verdict. And you may have burned through that entire $1 million policy or half of it before you even get to that point. Actually, that's one of the terms they use. It's called burning limits, which is when you have a limit where defense costs are coming out of that limit of liability. It's an important thing to be aware of. So go out, get yourself E&O coverage, and that's going to protect, provided you get the right coverage, it should provide you protection for being an auto insurance agent, as well as everything else you're going to be doing in your profession. Thank you for that question. Let's get to the next one. Richard, with my teenager about to start driving, I'm bracing for higher car insurance premiums. What are strategies to keep costs down when adding a teen driver to our policy? Do factors like good grades or completing driver's education courses make a difference? Well, Richard, you're right there with me. First, yes, it is going to cost you money to have a new driver put on your policy. It just, we get this question frequently, and it's just a reality. New drivers tend to have more accidents because they don't have as much experience. It's a shame, it's a bummer, it's painful, it's expensive, it's all those things, but it's true. It's a fact of life. So yes, all of those things you're mentioning can absolutely help lower your premium. Find out from your individual insurance company and broker how many discounts are available for new drivers. Is there a good student? Is there a good driver? Is there a defensive driver? Is there a particular certificate they can get that will lower the rate? If they're away at school and they're not going to be driving the car frequently, some companies will give you a discount on that. They'll ask you how many miles away from home is the driver. So lots of things to look into there. And again, it is an expense, so be expecting that. But at the same time, be aware that, as you said, there are things that you can do to try and protect yourself from that sticker shock of the premium coming in. Take another quick break for 60 seconds. We'll be back. This is Insurance Hour. I'm your host, Karl Susman. Stand by, and we'll be right back. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just a few moments, the Window to the Magic podcast show will begin.
My name is Patrick.
My name is Calvin.
I'm Mouseketeer Gray.
My name is Paul, and I will be your guide through the wonderful world of Disney sound experiences.
This show is a weekly trip into the world of the Disney theme parks and resorts.
And this is the place where you get to use your ears to surround yourself with the magic.
For your safety, please remain seated while listening to the WindowToTheMagic.com podcast.
Maybe there's a name for this, something like Disnotic Obsession. Please visit WindowToTheMagic.com for more information, or you can find us on Apple Podcasts and in the iHeartMedia app.
Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you for being here with me today and learning about insurance, your favorite topic and mine. We are going through your emails right now, but meanwhile, the phone lines are open. You can give us a call right now, 559-656-0317. You can call that number. You can text that number. You can also send us an email like these people have to questions@insurancehour.com or visit insurancehour.com/ask. Post your question there. We're happy to go through it for you and answer your questions as we go. Phone lines are open. Give us a call. Don't be shy. If we don't pick up, leave us the voicemail. We can play that question on the air for you if you like. Answer your question. It's super fun. We've done that in a few shows recently. Feel free to go back and listen to some other ones if you want to hear other people calling in and someone's voice other than mine for an entire hour. This question is from Erica. She says, I run a small tech startup handling sensitive client data, and cyber threats are a growing concern. Yeah. What kind of insurance protects us in the event of a cyber attack or data breach? Does it cover expenses like legal fees and notifying customers? This is a terrific question. Erica, thank you so much for taking the time to write in with this. Now, you're running a small tech startup, but this really applies to everybody, so I'm going to speak more generally. Cyber threats are a big problem right now. It's one of the more expensive and unknown exposures that people have. It could be data being stolen. It could be identity being stolen. It could be client payment information. It could be just client personal information. I think they call it personal identifiable information. I think that's the name. There's a particular little catchphrase for it that's escaping me right now. Bottom line is, to answer your question, there are cyber policies that can cover you for cyber risks, for online breaches and things like that. Now, this is where it gets complicated. There is no boilerplate policy. What one insurance company is going to pay for a cyber policy per se, air quote cyber policy, is not necessarily what another one's going to pay. They all are different. There is no standard that they all sort of tweak. With a lot of other policies, let's just say auto insurance, there are, I don't want to say boilerplate, but there are standard policy forms, and then individual insurance companies will come in and they will tweak them a little bit. They'll add a little bit there, expand the definition of that there, restrict coverage over there. They'll do things with it. With cyber, that does not exist right now. There is not a standard cyber policy. So when you're looking around, you need to talk to an agent or broker and say, hey, I want to get a policy that will protect me from a data breach, that will cover the legal expenses, that will cover the costs of notifying customers, that will tell me when I have to notify customers. There are policies that will do all of those things. You just have to look and be sure that you do get one that will provide you protection for that. Because like I said, you might have a friend that has a policy and they have coverage for that, and another friend and they have a policy and they don't. And they're both cyber policies. They are not the same. Can you tell this is an important issue? All cyber policies are not created equal. So call around, go online, speak to people that know, and be sure that you get a policy that covers the things that are important to you. As far as notification goes, I also want to make a point that different states and countries, for that matter, have different provisions for notifications. So depending on where you are, depending on where the customer might be, you might have different requirements that are necessary for notification. Notification is one of those funny things where I always wonder this, and maybe if there's someone out there that has an answer, they can let me know, is if you have one of these companies and you've been notified that there's been a data breach, that your data has been leaked out or stolen on, what do you do? What do you do differently? I guess you can change your passwords. That's a good thing. If you don't have your credit locked, you should always have that done, in my opinion. And I guess you could go and do that. But other than that, I don't really know what you're supposed to do in that event. And you know, I wish I did, because other than being vigilant, which you should always be, and always be sure that you're keeping track of credit inquiries, you're keeping track of statements and bills and things that come, not using the same password on more than one site, making them complicated passwords, making sure that you change them, with some frequency. Other than doing the things that you should always be doing, I've always wondered, what are you supposed to do with that notification? I don't know. Maybe it's designed to try and get more people to be involved or be aware of what might be happening so they can take those steps preemptively. I'm not sure. If you have any thoughts, let me know. Just send it over to questions@insurancehour.com and say, hey, Carl, if you get a notification, this is what you should be doing. Because other than those two globally large things like locking your credit and resetting passwords, I don't know what it is that you should be expected to do. I would love to know. How many times do I get a question, answer it, and throw a question right back at you? Well, there it is. Let's get to another question, speaking of which. It says, our area has experienced increased flooding due to heavy rains lately. I'm uncertain if my homeowner's policy covers flood damage. How can I verify if it's included or not? This is a great question. We are all experiencing odd weather that we are not used to. Let's face it. Whether you want to call it climate change, can we say that finally, or not? At the end of the day, we are seeing different weather patterns than we have in the past. So rain is one of them. Dry weather is another one. Temperatures are different. Things are just not what they used to be. This is not your grandparents' climate, right? So to answer your question, flood insurance is a separate policy. Homeowners insurance policies do not cover damage by flood. It's actually specifically going to be excluded. So you have two options for obtaining flood insurance. One is you can obtain a policy through FEMA, through the National Flood Insurance Program. You obtain that through a licensed agent or broker. They just write the policy directly through FEMA. Or you can obtain a policy through a private insurance company. Now, not a lot of people are aware that that even exists, but it is. There's a part of the law that's called the Write Your Own Flood policy plan. Write Your Own Flood says, hey, insurance companies, if you write flood insurance, we'll be sure that anywhere that a flood policy is a requirement for a consumer, let's think about a lender, right? You're giving your loan on a house and you're in an area that's been known to have flooding, you're going to require that homeowner have flood insurance. Then if you participate in the Write Your Own Flood program, then the lenders will have to accept your policy just as much as they would accept the policy that might be coming in from a FEMA National Flood Insurance Policy Program. So 2 places to get flood coverage, FEMA and a private insurance company. Now, buyer beware, because the rates and coverages are totally different. You might be looking at $250,000 on the structure coverage through FEMA, and you might be able to get full replacement cost on your structure through a private company. Prices will be all over the place. You might actually pay less and get more with a private company in some locations, and not so much in others. There is no specific rule where I can tell you that one will always be cheaper or one will always be more comprehensive, although I can tell you for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, you'll find more coverage options in the private market than you will find through the National Flood Insurance Program. And that's really by design. Speaking of design, it's time for another break, and we will take 60 seconds to be back and answer your questions. Insurance Hour with me, your host, Karl Susman. Stand by.
Have you been dropped by your insurance agency or seen your premiums skyrocket? Susman Insurance is here to help. We're a family-owned and operated insurance agency that's been serving our community for 2 generations. At Susman Insurance, we know how stressful it can be to find the right coverage, especially when prices go up or you're left without insurance. That's why we're committed to finding you competitive rates, whether it's for fire, home, earthquake, flood, auto insurance, you name it. We've got you covered. Give us a call or send a text to 310-820-5200 or visit us online at sussmaninsurance.com. Plus, stay updated on all things insurance by joining our text group. Just text 567-4CARL with a K. That's 567-367-5275 to get the latest updates straight to your phone. Susman Insurance, your family's insurance solution.
Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here with me today. We are talking about all things insurance. My favorite topic, hopefully somewhere in your top 5 favorite topics. Phone lines are open. Give us a call with your insurance-related questions, 559-656-0317. Again, 559-656-0317. You can call or text that number, or you can send in your question in by email to questions@insurancehour.com. Finally, you can go to insurancehour.com/ask, and you can post your question there, share it with the community, and we will answer your question there for all to see in its glory. Speaking of answering questions, I want to make a quick point. I do the best that I can to always try and give you the most accurate and up-to-date information that I can, but I am not perfect. I'm a human being. So if you hear something that just does not ring correct with you, you just say, you know what, Karl, I have heard something that's different, or that just doesn't make sense to me, then call me out on it. Give me a call, shoot me an email, and let me know, and I will go and double, triple, quadruple check that, because there's no ego involved here. My goal is to get you the most up-to-date, accurate information that I can. And if there is something that I'm unaware of, then I want to know, because I want to be sure that I can tell all of you. So remember, if you hear something, say something, let me know if there's a problem. And speaking of which, this show has been full of good questions. If you've missed any part of it, jump online, search for Insurance Hour. You can find us pretty much everywhere, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Pandora, iHeartMedia, you name it, Spotify, we're everywhere. Just search for Insurance Hour. You'll be able to find us, find this episode, go back, listen to the whole thing. Actually, listen to some other ones as well. We've been answering a lot of questions the last few weeks, and we've had some interesting guests on as well. With that, let me get back to your questions. This one sent in from Sam. He is saying, my partner and I are starting a family. Ooh, whoop, whoop, and we're reviewing health insurance options. While I'm not currently covered through my employer, I'm unsure if it's the best choice for maternity care. What should we look for in a health plan when expecting a baby? Well, congratulations on almost being a parent. I always look at my daughter, my first child, and I look at her and I say, you're the one that made me a daddy. So congratulations. It sounds like you're starting a family, so this is probably the first one. So enjoy every minute of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. Enjoy it all. To answer your question, health insurance is a very fluid concept right now, and there's likely going to be changes coming in the next few months or years as well. As a general rule, and again, I can really only speak generally because I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, group policies tend to provide more coverage for less money than individual policies. So if you have the ability to get on a group health insurance policy, that's most likely going to be the most cost-effective way to do it and the best way for you to be able to obtain coverage at all. Now, you said you're planning on starting a family, so I guess at this point you're not currently pregnant. If you were, that would change things up a little bit. So if you're not pregnant, then you will have an easier time obtaining coverage in the private market. Again, depending on where you are and certain circumstances surrounding your income and occupation and the state you're in, there might be different options for you. But the first thing that you can do is check with your employer and find out when their open enrollment period is, or if you've had an event that would mean that you might be eligible to join that group sooner. It just depends. Group policies are different. They're different by company. They're different by state regulation. They're all over the place. But the first place to start is with your employer. After that, you can check with the Affordable Care Act, assuming that it's in something that you can still access, and find out what options are available through that and see about getting health insurance there. Most health insurance plans, and again, most, will cover maternity care. And you do want to obviously ask the question as well to be sure. Depending on the state you're in, some states mandate that health insurance plans offer maternity care. And that's obviously important because there are some potential high expenses that are there. I'm not talking about the visits to the doctor, while you're pregnant and the ultrasounds and things like that and the delivery, but potentially when the child is born, there could be extremely expensive events that might happen. If there's a premature baby, if there's a health issue, then you need to be sure that your health insurance is going to immediately kick in and be able to pay for the things that you need to have covered at that point. Health insurance is a tough one. It's a tough one, but I think if you get one takeaway from this that will probably stand the test of time, that's you will get more coverage for less money through a group than an individual. I think that's pretty much going to be a universal truth indefinitely. Thanks for the email. Next question we have from Olivia. As a landlord with a few rental properties, I recently faced significant damage caused by a tenant before they moved out. Does landlord insurance cover things like this, or do I have to pay for it myself? Okay, this is no fun. Well, you say significant damage, and of course that's a relative term. Landlord insurance policies will cover, for the most part, damage caused by tenants. It might be vandalism, it might be retribution, whatever it might be. If there's damage to your property and it's rented out and you have a landlord policy, again, one size doesn't fit all. They're not all exactly the same. But I would be surprised if you have a policy that's not going to provide coverage for what you're describing. Now, the reason I'm being a little bit hesitant is depending on the amount of damage, it may or may not make sense for you to file that claim. And I'll tell you why. You look at it and you might say, oh my God, this is huge, this is massive. And that might be more of an emotional response than a dollars and cents. So take a step back, have somebody come in and tell you what is it going to cost to do the repairs. And if it's a small amount that you could write a check for and probably not miss the money, you might be better off just to pay that out of pocket. Reason being, a lot of insurance companies offer claim-free discounts, and you don't want to file a claim for something that's small to lose that claim-free discount. Other companies might actually surcharge you if you've had a loss. They might say, well, look, you rented to somebody that trashed the place. Your procedures and for screening tenants is not so good because look who you had in there. So we might have to charge you a higher premium. So in the event that it's something that you can out of pocket, in the event it's something that you can bankroll yourself, then you might really want to look at doing that just to avoid any of the pitfalls that might come with having claims like that. And I know it stinks. I know it gets back to the whole, wait a minute, this isn't fair. Why? I have insurance. Why can't I use it? And you absolutely can. All I'm saying is that if you have the ability to do it yourself and it's a small enough number, you might be better off in the long run to not file the claim. I look at insurance as being for major catastrophic events, total losses, something really bad happens, something you can't afford. Those things can both exist. That's what I look at insurance policies for, not for something, again, that you can write a check for, something that's more of an annoyance. Remember, insurance policies are not savings accounts. You're not putting money in and then being ready to take money back out whenever you need it. It's there in the event of a bad loss, and it's there for you to be able to file the claim and be able to have protection for it. I don't mean to get off on a tangent with this. We've talked about this in the past, but you know my feelings. If you don't, shoot me an email or give us a call, and I'll be happy to go over it again with you. Speaking of which, I can't believe it. We're up at a commercial again. 60 seconds is all. We will be right back. Insurance Hour with Karl Susman. Stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just a few moments, the Window to the Magic podcast show will begin.
My name is Patrick.
My name is Calvin.
I'm Mouseketeer Gray.
My name is Paul, and I will be your guide through the wonderful world of Disney sound experiences.
This show is a weekly trip into the world of the Disney theme parks and resorts.
And this is the place where you get to use your ears to surround yourself with the magic.
For your safety, please remain seated while listening to the windowtothemagic.com podcast.
Maybe there's a name for this, something like Disnotic obsession. Please visit windowtothemagic.com for more information, or you can find us on Apple Podcasts and in the iHeart Media app.
Hello. This is Insurance Hour. I am your host, Karl Susman. Thank you so much for being here and learning about insurance with me today. Phone lines are open. Give us a call at area code 656. Where am I going? I said area code and I got confused. 559-656-0317. The area code is 559-656-0317. Call or text that number or send us an email to questions@insurancehour.com. Or feel free, just go to insurancehour.com/ask, put your question there, share it with the world, and we will share the answer as well. Man, did I just age myself by saying